Janet's eco-friendly home blends solar energy with serene water views for a tranquil escape. But first we'll visit Steve. His rotating roundhouse is a unique coastal retreat, featuring 64 feet of glass in the great room, a barrel sauna with a viewing bubble, and a private path to the beach. With stunning ocean views and a peaceful location, it's the perfect spot to unwind. Water, deep, flowing, mysterious, ever-changing yet constant, the inspiration of artists and adventurers. It's the foundation of life. We are drawn to it, to watch it, listen to it, immerse ourselves, and for those who choose, to live beside it.
So my name is Steve Arnold and I'm from the Maritimes, and now I live here on the island in our house overlooking the ocean. So what inspired us to create this house and build something very unique and special was mostly because of the fact that we wanted to do something that was a unique experience for guests coming to the island. It was challenging off and on throughout the 10 years or so that my parents lived with us, because we didn't design the house to be a multi-unit for our family. It was built for a family of 2 when my wife and I first met, and of course we grew into a family of 4, but my parents were here as well, and it was really neat having grandparents around when you're raising young kids. What is so unique about this house? It's unique in a couple different ways. Number one, it's round, which is unique enough. There's not a whole lot of round houses. But what makes this roundhouse particularly unique is the fact that it actually moves. It rotates slowly throughout the day so that all of our guests and our family living upstairs here get changing ocean views, which is kind of nice. So when we saw the property for the first time, it was not hard to envision what things would look like, because it's a beautiful half-an-acre property overlooking the ocean. So what we tried to envision was, first of all, what a house would look like, because we never built a house as a family. And then we tried to envision what a roundhouse would look like, because the nice thing about a roundhouse is that even when it rotates, it kind of still looks the same, whereas a square house rotating would look a little bit funny. So we weren't worried about that aspect, but it was not hard to envision, particularly with lots of windows overlooking that beautiful ocean that's right in front of the house. So water has, I think, been an important part of my life in a different way than you might expect. I do love the beach. I like going swimming occasionally, but I spend more of my time on the beach. I think it's more having water as a backdrop that you kind of recognize it subconsciously, if that makes sense. And there's a sense of calmness, a smell in the air, something about living by the water. I think that inside you just recognize the difference. And you can get by for short periods of time living in a big city or not by the water, or if it's a lake or something like that, not really the ocean, but eventually it kind of catches up and something doesn't feel quite right. So once you come out of the elevator to our residence on the second floor, the first thing that you walk into is our great room here, which is our kitchen, living room, and dining room. And we have a pool table as well, which is kind of nice because we have a cover for it, and we can have a big table for about 14 people if we want. And we have several different sitting sections. We've got the fireplace, and my wife has an art wall that she likes to display her art. We've got our cigar humidor and some wine. And we do like to entertain. We've got a pretty big kitchen island for entertaining and having a few drinks and some appetizers. We've got a nice wraparound deck, actually 200 lengthwise, 200-foot deck that goes around the house, both on the upper level and the lower level. So you can walk out from the great room, from our garden doors, onto a wraparound glass, which is really neat looking over the ocean. This room is my favorite room because when we rotate the house so that it's overlooking the ocean, certain times of year, you've got the moon up early and the sun is still setting, and it's in the same picture window, which is really nice because there's no corners of a house to block the view. So with all the glass, it's like one big picture window. when it's cold outside, if we have any bit of sun, we don't need to turn on the heat because we have so much solar gain because of the windows that it brings it right into this room. And we can actually track the sun with the rotation so that this room stays in the sun. So our electric bills are actually really, really low because of that, which is a little bonus of living in a rotating house. The great room is definitely the room that I think connects with me, and I would say most of our family. Mostly because it's got everything in it. It's really close to the bathroom. It's got the fridge there, which is usually filled with food or drinks or something like that. But I really love being able to walk out onto the deck, sitting on one of our benches. Sometimes I'll have the barbecue on as well. So the space in the house that kind of grew on me, I would have to say is our loft. We put it in because we had some height in the roof and I wanted to fill it with something because it's usable space. But it's actually way more functional than I thought it would be. And because we left the beams exposed, which is something that is not normally done, it really creates a unique accent feature, particularly with the LED lights that we have that are hidden on top of the beams. And it's a very unique feature that a lot of people recognize when they come in and they see it and they go, wow, that's really neat. So the heart of our home is definitely in this great room. We've got food, the kids have got entertainment, we've got pool table, we've got a basketball hoop, I've got cold drinks. So this is definitely the heartbeat of our house. Started with this big, huge hole in the ground with a lot of concrete, 10,000 cubic feet of concrete, because we needed all of that base and structure to support the weight of the 50-ton steel platform, and of course the house that was going to go on top of it. And were assembled by hand by local construction teams and welders. And everybody was really thrilled to work on this project because we had local construction guys who had never done anything like this before and probably never have again in their life. The rotating house community in the world is actually not very big. Each house is slightly different. It's the only one where the rotating mechanism's below ground. All the other ones are above ground in warmer climates. So this is the only rotating house in a true Four Seasons environment where we get sometimes 17 feet of snow in 2014 and other times in the summertime where you got 30 degrees Celsius weather. We have a new barrel sauna in the backyard with a plexiglass bubble that overlooks the ocean. And that's really nice to go in. I don't have an opportunity to go in very often, but it is very relaxing to get a nice steam on and have a cold drink in there overlooking. Sometimes it's best in the wintertime when you've got a nice winter storm over the ocean and you're toasty warm inside the barrel sauna and having a cold beer or something like that. I'm able to relax and look out over the water. If the house is rotating, that's really nice too because I'm getting changing scenery. So coming home to our house is really nice. When we first moved in and began enjoying it, it was different coming home because you never know exactly where you're going to have to walk to get to the elevator. If the house is moved, if it's rotating as we often have it rotating, then sometimes you got to walk around to the far side overlooking the water. Sometimes if you're carrying groceries, you're hoping the elevator is close to the parking lot. So it's always a gamble as to what's going to happen when you come home. Where's the entrance going to be? So aside from that, just coming home to your own space, particularly this kind of space, is relaxing. When we go on vacation, quite often we're in hotel rooms, and when we get home, it's the first thing I notice is, boy, we've got this great space. There's room to move around, and we don't have to be as a family, too close together. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but when you're on vacation, sometimes in a hotel room for a few weeks, it's nice to get home to a big space. And with this house, you always get a little bit of a surprise because you never know what you're going to come to when you get home. It's kind of fun. My daily routine is quite busy. Obviously waking up in the morning, giving the kids breakfast, after I have a cup of coffee, of course. So we're driving them here and there and everywhere with sports and things like that. Anybody with a young family will know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's busy. I lead a busy lifestyle, going to bed around midnight with all the work. I do a lot of computer work. It's nice. I have my office overlooking the ocean, of course, when I want to. And in the wintertime, the nice thing is we're not quite as busy with visitors and we can kind of be a little bit more selfish with the house. And that's when we position the house in the sun, so we don't have to turn on the heat and things like that. But it's a busy lifestyle. I look forward to relaxing in the evenings. Really, these days, it's all about the kids, is what I can say. My kids keep me on my toes. This room, as I mentioned before, is kind of the room for everything. And having two young, active kids, we've got a basketball net here, we got a pool table here. So all the things that the kids and my wife and I like to do activity-wise are all in the same room. So with the kids, we like to get out in the backyard, throw the football around a little bit, sometimes kick the soccer ball around. On the beach, sometimes we'll bring a Frisbee down, we'll pack a lunch and go and bring our picnic blanket and sit out. And it's kind of nice because there's a little stream at one end of the beach, and the kids can build dams and things like that in the sand. And it's a really nice, close family spot to be able to go. What I like to do when I'm on my own, when I can sneak away, is go to our private path that takes us to the beach. So I like to go for a jog. The beach is about 1 kilometer long. That gives me a breath of fresh air, gives me a little bit of exercise, and it gives me some peace, which is nice. I think for the future, there's a few more amenities I wouldn't mind adding in the backyard. We're looking at maybe getting a geodesic dome, particularly for the wintertime, to go along with the barrel sauna, because people will be able to enjoy a stove there, make hot chocolate or cook food, and maybe go snowshoeing or trail riding on their bike, or even cross-country skiing. So this house is really special for us. And I think that if the right family were to come along, at a certain time, that we might be able to look at moving on to a different adventure. But for now, this is what we do, and it's fun, and it's exciting to be here. So I think what I like best about living by the water, aside from the obvious, which is the view, something about the contrast of the blue water compared to the red soil that we have here on the island, and the dark green trees and the bright green grass, I think is the smell that goes along with it. It's something that you can't really put your finger on. It's more intrinsic. And there's something about being by the water that hits you sort of in your soul. And it's not something that you think about consciously. When you go about your activities, you've always got that in the backdrop, and it seems to bring life, which can be up here sometimes. It kind of brings it back down to here. So home, to me, I think is more than a house. Home is your family. Home is the place where you go to relax when you can. Home is the place where everything kind of comes together. So the walls are definitely part of the home and are the home, but I think it's all the things that you share and experience and live through in your home that makes your home your home.
My name is Jana Kodup. I grew up in Newfoundland, but now live here on the island.
My name is Jim Kodup. I grew up in Ontario. After we retired, we really wanted to move to the island to be closer to our son and grandchildren. Once we saw this property along the river, and so we started to picture what it would look like to build on the property, and we went on from there. Decided that we would build to get what we wanted and take advantage of the view. We came across a company that built modular homes, and I'd never really looked into that before. Once we got a price on it and went through a number of design changes, which was painless, they came up with a home for us, and they said, well, it will be built in another location and shipped over in 2 parts. Everything finished inside and outside, with the exception of a garage. I think when we moved into the house here, the first few days, it started to feel like home, but I mean, we still had the mud lot out front. I had a river to look at, which was great, but then my mind starts to go to work and think, wow, I got a lot of work ahead of me outside, which I kind of got excited about because I initially thought we may have considered a condominium, but to suddenly have a property on the water, wow. And I had done a lot of landscaping at our other home, but I really didn't have a lot of time when I was working. So, it was always weekends, and we pulled some long hours, Janet and I, when we did the landscaping and, sidewalks and so on. So every year it was more and more at home. And the fact that we were near our son and daughter-in-law and grandkids, made it extra special.
When you first come into the house, you see the entire main living area because it's completely open, kitchen, dining area, living room. It's exactly what we wanted because we knew it would be the place we'd spend most of our time. It's not a big area, but it's extremely functional. It's very cozy. And we have decorated it somewhat with a water theme. And of course, if you go further into the home, you see the 3 bedrooms, the primary bedroom and 2 others. So the primary is a nice size. It has its own ensuite. And then the 2 other bedrooms are smaller, but they're lovely for family and guests. Downstairs, we did put a recreation room and another bedroom and bathroom. And then one of the favorite rooms that the kids like, the grandkids, they call it the playroom, where we have our dartboard and card table and all of the kids' games and toys. A big feature of our rec room is our shuffleboard.
Janet had spent so much time looking at design and having the company redo, design features for us. So my creative wasn't necessarily her creative. But by the time we finished the downstairs, here we have, probably over 2,500 square feet of living space. But I still took it as a bit of a challenge to use space wisely. When we put the solar panels in, I was just sort of into a phase where anything I could do to be, energy efficient, I wanted to. So we had a couple of companies give us quotes on the solar panels, and we knew when we built the house, it was very energy efficient. Like they had put in triple glazed windows, they put extra insulation, and we had 1 heat pump for the whole house at the time and electric baseboard backup. But the baseboard backup had never come on. We set it at a point. So when all these incentives to be more energy efficient came, we added 2 more small heat pumps that serviced areas where we would go, like the basement or the primary bedroom. And it kind of got to be fun then, what are we paying? So we almost looked forward to getting our electric bill, see if we went over it. Because when our son comes out, he has an electric car, he plugs it in, and we don't worry about how many times we use the dryer. And it's just amazing how much you can save, and to know you're really helping improve the environment was pretty exciting. One of the parts I like about the house when I walk outside is, it still amazes me that it came on a truck completely done. It had the siding, it had the shingles, it had, these incredible windows. Even around back, had a deck. At the time, we were supposed to get hardwood floors throughout the main living area, but the builder even suggested to us, because we had 2 dogs, that, the hardwood would scratch, and that there's incredible flooring available now, and at the time it was laminate. So we were able to trade off the price of the laminate, and instead of having rungs around our deck, they were able to put glass for the same price. So we were really pleased with that. I always liked doing landscaping. I just didn't have a lot of time. Well, suddenly I did, and I went through a learning curve. I planted a few trees, but not realizing where we live on the island was different from where we moved from, and some landscaping bushes and trees just don't do well. So I had to learn what thrived. Favorite place in the exterior probably is at the deck. We can now sit out there, but we also did a fire pit, and we can sit on the deck at any time and look up and down the river. We can see where the kids are playing. When we've been away, even for a weekend, but often for a more prolonged time, to just come back, highways up on top of the hill, and we look down, we think, wow. I never get tired of looking at it, and it just feels good to walk through that door and know we're going to have a beautiful view, a nice, energy efficient house. Just feels so good.
When I first saw the house, when it was first constructed, it was just the beautiful setting, of course. And being a new construction, there was a lot of landscaping that had to be done. And my husband, Jim, is extremely good at that. And now that that's done, when coming down into the subdivision, I just look at the beautiful exterior he's created with his landscaping. The other thing for me is we have a beautiful fire pit out back, and I think the main thing is that it's all pretty much homemade. All of the rocks that are there were collected around the fireplace, were collected from the neighborhood on empty lot. We found small little trees in various areas and brought them all back and planted them, and they've grown so much. When we've been away from home, whether it's a small stay or a long stay, it's always nice to see the beautiful home and know that it's waterfront that we can always enjoy. It always feels good to come home. It's funny, the last long trip we took, Casper, our younger poodle, as soon as we crossed the bridge, he was asleep the whole time, and all of a sudden we crossed the bridge and he's at attention the whole time until we get here. So it's like I don't know if he sensed our joy at being home or if he just recognized it, but he told our story that, hey, we're glad to be back. The thing I like most about living on the water is the sense of peace and serenity and being close to nature. I've always enjoyed nature. I love outdoor activities, and being on the water further enhances that. Water has always been an important part of my life. Growing up on another island, as kids, we swam in the freezing cold Atlantic water. I don't know how we did that, but we did. We were out in dories, fishing. And now, being on the water again, I can still enjoy that. And what's even more important is I can offer that experience to my kids and grandkids. And that, for me, is a real bonus. People enjoy living by the water because of the closest to nature, and also because of the activities that it can provide. I mean, if you want to go boating, you don't have to haul a boat somewhere else. If you want to go swimming, you don't have to try to find a beach. You can do it all right in your own backyard, and that is certainly an advantage. Home for me is where you can have a full life, and being on the water helps you extend that full life and goes around full circle.
What I like most about living by the water is, well, it's the view for sure. It's some of my strongest memories as a kid. We had a very rustic cottage, but I remember spending hours rowing and maybe throwing out a fishing line. And, you know, now we can do that with our grandkids, or if tide's going out, we drift with it for a while. It's so relaxing. And, you know, the added bonus is when we see the kids and the dogs, like it's the one smart move we didn't make is we bought a white dog that loves the water. But just to see them playing in it, and the dog included, is just, oh, who cares if they get dirty? I've tried to think about why people like living by the water, and, you know, I'm starting to understand it. Like, probably everyone has their own, you know, some people it might be a status thing, some people it might be, you know, love of nature, you know, others it's the sporting aspect of it. And that's, I think, the pleasure of water. You can do so many things on it, around it, looking at it. It's just great.
In terms of further projects on the home, I think we've done quite a bit. We actually talk to each other and say, oh my gosh, can you imagine doing all of this again?
Home, I guess I hadn't really thought a lot about it over the years because I just seemed so busy. But now I come in here, I feel safe. I've got things that I want. I've had some fun with it. I look out, it's relaxing, and we feel so good about having people come to visit our home.
Whether nestled alongside a riverbank or perched high above a distressed ocean, living on the shore has its perks. But beautiful views are only the beginning. The sights, sounds, and sensations of the water are constant in their impact, improving moods, perspectives, and lives. To exist and grow on its edge is extraordinary, an experience made even sweeter when shared with the people we love.